This conference will now be recorded.
Um, Again, good morning and good evening, guys. Yesterday we were, I went through the all the topics that we are going to cover as part of this batch, this performance engineering sessions. Okay, and the people who are joined today, I request you to look into the video yesterday. Okay, and just sum up what we saw yesterday. These are the various topics that we are going to cover for the next 3.5 weeks. Okay, and we will go through in detail about this today anyway, but at eye level, these are the various topics that we are going to cover from next 3 weeks. Okay, and the sessions are going to be between the same time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. AST. Um, okay, these are the two information to just sum up, and all the activities are going to be done with the sample applications what we have for the it's a Java application, e-library application. We will go and try to create some problem in the code, and then we'll go and deploy it, and then we'll go and test it, and then we'll find the problems and we'll go and provide the recommendation. That is how we are going to follow it for most of the relevant sessions of this entire batch. Okay, and as I was telling yesterday, all that is required for you is to have a laptop with the latest Java and the Eclipse Tomcat and the code which I am going to give it for the Java application, plus the war file which you can deploy to the Tomcat. Okay, and of course there are a few tools which you may have to install it, like JProfilers, JConsole, JVisual VM. All these things are open source tools, or tools with free trial licenses, or something you can access it over the SaaS, the cloud version of the tools, which means you can practice everything what we do it in the sessions. All the things which we are going to learn and do the hands-on. That is something you should be able to easily do it on your own laptop. Okay, so today I'll go over a little in detail about what we're going to cover in the individual topics. Okay, so let me, yeah, before that, probably I'll just spend maybe for 2 minutes in the introduction, just to give you the background about what does that we do from a performance engineering, right? What is it expected from a performance engineering? So normally, from a performance testing perspective, uh, everybody will be doing certain aspects of this, right? Scripting, it could be scripting, loads, test execution, analysis, reporting, non-functional requirement analysis, setting up the test data, setting up the environment, setting up the tools, depending upon your maturity, depending upon your experience, depending upon the need, uh, and depending upon how many people work in a project, you might be doing all these things by yourself, or you might be doing only certain activities of this performance testing, right? So from the performance testing, if you wanted to expand yourself to the next level on the same line of performance, right? So there you need to probably expand your knowledge towards the performance engineering. Of course, if from a performance tester, you can go to the performance test lead, performance test manager, but more and more the testing is getting automated. Okay, so performance testing, the execution, the regression way of doing execution goes to pipeline, Jenkins. So execution gets automated. Analysis and reporting also gets automated with a lot of open source tools in the DevOps, right? So performance testing is not going to go away, but it is getting more and more automated. So which means you should be able to um, you should learn other things so that you'll stay relevant. Okay, otherwise the majority of work will be towards scripting, and you never know, even in the future, the scripting can also get automated. The tools like LoadRunner or NeoLoad, other people are trying to automate this thing as much as possible, but it's still, we're not still there. So scripting is still going to be there. But yes, a lot of testing activities are getting automated, and in the future, for us to stay relevant, it is important to scale up towards other things. Okay, so it could be as simple as a performance tester, you can go and learn automation testing, so that you can upskill yourself or cross skill yourself, so that you can do multiple activities, or you can go and learn other security testing. So other angle of testing, you can go and learn it. That is one way of making yourself ready. Second way is going in depth into performance testing, expanding your knowledge in performance. That is where performance engineering is going to come handy, and engineering is going to be always going to be relevant. Combination of you knowing both testing and engineering will definitely make yourself unique among the others. Okay, so when it comes to performance engineering, as mentioned in this diagram, right, it is going to be combination of various things. So it is going to be combination of your testing, combination of your system analysis, little bit of networking, and little bit of programming. So out of these four things, your system analysis is going to be a major chunk, and then testing, of course, you might have already know about it, which means you're almost covered one aspect of the performance engineering. Networking administration is going to be kind of, you should be able to go and set up your own missions, configure the tools, troubleshoot some of the network problems. So that kind of administration, right? Be now be going to be there, part of the DevOps team. When I say DevOps team, a small team where developers will be there, QA person will be there, performance engineer will be there. You're supposed to do all these things by yourself: deployment, setting up your missions, installing the tools, all these things, kind of administrative work. You might have to know it for sure. So that is where little bit of networking administration will help. Similarly, programming also, right? As I mentioned yesterday, we're going to find faults in their code, the developer's code. So which means if you know a little bit of programming, it will definitely help you to confidently go and talk to the your developers. So that is where programming will come into picture. But programming again is not going to be hardcore programs where you can go and create Java application, not required, right? Simple programs which you can create, compile, deploy, so that you know how a developer is going to perform his work, right? That level of program is at least minimum is required. So combination of all these things is going to be your performance engineering. And when it comes to system analysis, right? When you talk about system analysis, it's a wider area. It contains a lot of these things when it comes to performance. So I've listed a few things which we are going to anyway cover it in the sessions. It starts right from the reviewing the system architecture, analyzing the system architecture, and and knowing about the entire SDLC cycle, developing the engineering strategy as per the architecture. Okay, the performance engineer should be able to review the system architecture and analyze the non-functional requirement, and then compare that with the architecture, so that you would be able to know that yes, this is my NFR. My business has given this NFR, non-functional requirements. My architect has given the system architecture. Whether the system architecture will be able to meet this non-functional requirements, right? So an engineer should be able to do these things, and you should be able to go and sketch the engineering strategy as per the architecture, as per the overall project need. And of course, you should be good in any of the one tool, at least a JMeter or LoadRunner or your load, and the all the components in your architecture using the tools like Dynatrace or AppDynamics. You should be good in the tools like JConsole, or the profiling tool like JProfiler, Visual VM. You should be able to go and take and analyze your EBDMs, thread dumps, good knowledge in database analysis, AWR analysis, client-side performance. So all these analysis, your front-end analysis, your server-side analysis, database analysis, monitoring of your components, testing tools, profiling tools. All these combined is what is required for a performance engineer to play his role. But that doesn't mean he needs to be expert in all these things, right? Nobody is going to become an expert in day one or week one or month one or year one. It is going to be over the experience only. But whatever that is required for you to get transition from performances to performance engineer, that is what we are trying to do it through this course, right? You should be able to do all these things by yourself, confidently. Okay, so now what I'll do is, I'll go over the this individual topics which we are going to cover in detail, so that you will get to know what exactly we are going to learn for in each of these topics. Okay, so first, more from a concepts and programming, Java basics. Let me go over what we are going to learn here. So we are going to start with Java basics and JVM, something I call it as a think like a developer. Okay, so most of the time, we will have an initial roadblock whenever you want to move from testing and engineering. Is it possible for me to do it? I don't know any Java programming. I don't know any of my concepts. Is it possible for me to do the engineering at all? That is a roadblock. Anybody will have it. Even I had it when I started earlier. So that is why we wanted to start with some good basics, so that you will get confidence while you go and analyze the problems, right? So we have something as a think like a developer. So we want you to think like a developer, right? We want to make sure that you know about these basic concepts about JVM, Java, right? So we will go and learn why are we learning Java, basics about the Java, JDK, JRE, JVM, understanding the JVM architecture. Okay, and then we will go and write small programs. Let me go to the a particular slide what we are going to look into it, and the topics, in fact, what we're going to look into it for this particular session. Okay, basics of Java and JVM. So we will go over these things, setting up your JDK, JVM, JRE. Okay, and then we'll go and learn basics more from a template based coding. Okay, what is the Java program skeleton? What are the data types? What is the object? All these things we'll try to understand in a very easy way, more in a skeleton way. We're not going to look into it like the way the lot of books are written, right? Go learn the object oriented concepts. Go and look into data structure. We're not going to go into a theoretical way. We're going to do a reverse way where we will go and create programs. We'll first try to just understand the skeleton, what are each of these are meant, and then we'll go and write the programs, creating a new Java project in Eclipse, creating a few class files, creating multiple class files, calling one class file from another class file, and then we'll create a class file with a DB connection. We'll introduce the external jar files, importing those jar files, making it HTTP connection from the class file. All these things are all typically any application is going to have it. Any application is going to have a DB connection. Any application will do a third-party call. Any application will have multiple class files. They will call one class file from another class file by creating an object, or whatever the developer will do. We will go and try to look into it in a very simple way, simple program, so that you'll get to know all these things by yourself. Okay, that is so we'll try to learn Java more from a reverse way. We will go and write programs, and then we can start understanding why it is written. Okay, and then we'll go and create jar files. We'll go and create war files. We'll go and run those jar files. We'll go and deploy those war files in the Tomcat. Okay, so that is what we will do it as part of the from a Java perspective. This is how we will learn the basics of Java. Similarly, the JVM as well, basics of JVM as well, will go and try to understand what is the JVM architecture, what are the various components within the JVM architecture. The JVM memory will go in detail about stack and heap. Okay, and then about the execution engines. Okay, so all these things are all more of a basics what we will learn from a think like a developer. Okay, so from there, once we are done with the Java basics and JVM, then we will go and start our engineering sessions, more from the system analysis, right? So we will think ourselves as a performance engineer who was deployed in a project, and then we are supposed to go and optimize the performance of your web pages, of your functionalities. Okay, so that is where we will bring in the e-library application, what I showed yesterday, and then we will use a code to go and create some problem, and then we'll go and do the analysis. For response time analysis, we'll use a combination of Tomcat to develop a tool, JProfilers, okay, to go and analyze your response time. Why the response, if the response time is very high, why the response time is very high, whether it is at the client side or server side. So we'll go and analyze the Tomcat logs. We'll go and if the Tomcat is also showing a response time, then we'll go to the JProfiler, profile it, and then find the root cause of the your response time problem. Okay, so in the response time analysis, it is more about finding a problem, and then finding out why it is having a problem, and then getting help from Tomcat logs, getting the help from JProfiler to nail down the problem and providing the recommendation of where the response time is taking more time. For example, let me open the one of the report as well to show you the report which we'll create at the end of this, right? That is also will be uploaded here. It is already there in the drive. Okay, so if you see the end document, you will have this analysis. What we'll do from the browser, what's the time it is taking, from the Tomcat logs, how much time it is taking, and then JProfiler will go and try to capture the hotspots or the method calls which is taking more time. That is how the analysis will happen for each and every functionality. The steps which we'll cover it also, we'll go through. There is a procedure to do this responsive analysis, right? All these things as well will go in detail while we are going to do this analysis. And this is a document which will create it for the at the end for triaging or troubleshooting your response time. Okay, so this is what I was mentioning about this response time analysis, right? We'll take the problem statement, assuming that we are in the project to optimize the response time, optimize the memory as part of the early performance engineering. Then we'll go and do this profiling steps. Okay, making use of the JProfiler and making use of the Tomcat access log, and the developer tool will go and analyze the problem. Okay, similarly, the next step is to go and optimize your memory, right? As part of the performance engineering, initial profiling for every functionality, every new page, you need to optimize the response time. You need to optimize the memory as well. So we'll go and from a memory perspective, again we will have a separate topics where we will go over again a little bit in detail about stack and heap. What are the difference between stack and heap? How the stacks are loaded with the variables, how it is getting allocated and how it is getting unallocated. We'll also go and look into the stack overflow error example program for stack overflow error. We'll go and create that stack overflow problem and then see how to fix it. And then from a heap perspective, heap analysis or heap, which is another component in your memory, which is a major component in your memory, that as well will go and try to analyze it in a similar way to response time. We'll go and create a problem in the code, and then we'll go and use a visual VM or JProfiler to understand your object allocation, the memory increase, and then we'll go and find out the memory leaks and the root cause of the memory problem. And similarly, in the if you go to the memory tab, okay, we'll also go and in the memory analysis, right? We'll go and understand, capture the overall workflow for the reporting perspective also. So how the memory increased, how the memory decreased, what are the various objects that are not released properly, and then find out the root cause of the problem as well. That is how we will go and do the memory analysis. Okay, and this is for the more from a single user memory leak or memory optimization. From there, we will go on to the heap dump as well to understand during a load test or endurance test if the memory is not coming down. Typically, we run endurance test for understanding memory leaks or to observe if there are any memory problem, right? So during that time, and if the memory is going to keep increasing, we will go and take the heap dump, and then we'll try to understand. We learn how to take the heap dump, how to analyze the heap dump. We'll use a tool called Eclipse MAT, memory analyzer tool, to look into the heap dumps. Okay, again, those heap dumps as well, it will be, if at all, if you wanted to go and take the heap dump, that will also will be available. You have a code, you can run it and then take the heap dump. Or if you want to just use the heap dump file which I create, few things will be uploaded here, which you can just upload it in the MAT tool. Okay, both are possible. And we'll also go and try to use one of the um, Heap Hero. There's a site called Heap Hero, which will actually can analyze your HPROF file. Okay, that also we'll look into it, how to use that HPROF file to upload it to the heaphero.com, where it will tell you immediately where is the memory leak, which is causing the memory leak. Is there a leak is there or not? This the report is from that Heap Hero. Okay, so those things as well, we will be looking into it in detail while we go and learn the memory leaks and heap dump. And then a detailed session on garbage collection. Let me go to that Java memory. And meanwhile, Java tuning flags as well, we look into it from a heap perspective, how to set the initial heap, how to set the maximum heap, XSS, XMX, XMS, all these things, we'll look into it. And we'll also discuss about what is optimal value to give it for this min and max as well, as part of the JVM benchmarking. Okay, so these are the various things which we will be looking into it from a memory perspective. What is shallow heap, what is read and heap, the garbage collection, the relationship between stack and heap, and the importance towards GC, what happens during GC, what are the various activities, marking, deletion, compacting, the object promotions within the your heap, your young generation, old generation, hidden space, and what are the various tuning flags available for GC that will be useful for us to improve the performance. That as well, we will look into it. We will have some small programs to see visually how these flags are going to make an impact. The GC log analysis will run a program and then look into the GC logs. GC log is the source for all other tools like Dynatrace or AppDynamics to show you the number of minor collections, number of major collections, GC time. All these data will come from the GC logs only. We will see how to enable the GC logs, how to capture the GC logs, how to analyze the GC logs, minor GCs and major GCs. What are the different collectors, GC algorithms that is available? When to use which collector? What are the various tuning flags? That is how we are going to go in detail about the memory. Memory itself will be almost a week section going into all these aspects. Okay, so from memory, then we will move on to the your threads, threads and thread dump analysis. We'll try to understand what are the various uh, um, thread states available. How is the thread created? How it is associated with the stack and heap. We'll also try to understand the thread operation compared to just to go with an example to understand the thread concepts in a better way, and then look into various states of the thread. Okay, we'll go and run a small JMeter script, and then we'll go and use a JVisual VM, use some plugins to look into these various states. As the JMeter script starts, how many threads are going to get started. As the load increases, how the new threads are going to get created, lot more. We can go and set minimum thread and maximum thread for your threads. Accordingly, we can go and see how the threads are getting created, getting destroyed. Those as well, we'll look into it very practical manner. And then we'll look into the common thread problems like thread locks, synchronization problems, with the thread count is less or more. What are the various problems that is going to get created? When to take thread dump, how to take thread dump, how to analyze it, what is the pattern of taking thread dumps, all these things as well. We will look into it in detail, and we'll also look into the synchronization problem. Again, we'll go and create a problem in the code, and then create the synchronization problem, and then thread locks will be created, and then we'll go and take the thread dumps and analyze it. We'll also go and fix the problem again, and then see what is the impact. Okay, that is what we are going to look into it from a thread dump analysis. For this, again, we will use a Visual VM, we'll use Eclipse, we'll use a JProfiler, we'll use the fastthread.io, combination of certain tools to analyze the thread and thread dumps. From there, we will move on to all these things, whatever we are seen so far: response time profiling, your memory profiling, thread, all these things from a server side. Then we'll also go towards the client side performance engineering, where we'll go and go in detail about how to go and do the client side testing, client side profiling, providing optimization. That is how the client side profiling sessions are going to be. We'll go and try to test it as a first time user, repeated user, try to learn paint APIs, navigation APIs, end user experience metrics, how to report the end user experience for various pages, the time to first paint, time to control paint, load time, page size, with cache, without cache. And then we'll also go and look into a couple of important optimization: the resource compression, minification of JavaScripts, combining the style sheet and JavaScripts, cache expiry headers, salience. All these things are all part of the how to do this engineering after optimization of the client and learn from client side principle. Okay, and then next thing is going to be your database performance. That is again going to be a detailed session with Oracle. Let me open that. So similar to the JVM architecture, we also try to learn the Oracle architecture, or the process architecture, the memory architecture, how the Oracle database memory works, what are the different components of memory architecture, important concept about the parsing, important concept about the caching, buffer cache, and we also go and learn how to connect with an Oracle DB, and then see how to enable the snapshots, and how to take the snapshots, how to generate the AWS reports. In most of the cases, Oracle is governed by the DBAs, right? Our role from a database analysis is more towards the application performance engineering. So we will try to learn the database analysis from a application performance engineering, because a lot of tuning about your either being an SQL tuning or your heap tuning, shard pool tuning, your buffer cache memory configuration, all these things will be governed by your DBAs. Mostly as application performance engineer, whatever that we have to do it from a engineering perspective, those things we will learn it, which means we will try to go and monitor, we'll go and try to take the AWS reports and look into the couple of important sections in the AWS report to get the DB time, to get the parsing efficiency, to get the caching efficiency, and then see what are these problems and how we can go and analyze those problems is what we will look into it from a AWS perspective, not from a DBA perspective. Okay, from a DBA perspective, you will do a lot more than what an application performance engineer will do. Okay, so we are not going to be a DBS, or we are not going to be a database performance engineer. We are going to be a application performance engineer. So to that level, we'll go and try to understand the architecture of the Oracle, and also various sections of AWS reports, like your load profile, and then your efficiency percentage, and then DB time, and concept of binding variable. All these things we'll try to learn from an Oracle perspective, and when to do DB analysis, what are various bottleneck of your Oracle, right? All these things we'll try to understand from a DB perspective, and from there we'll go to the monitoring strategy. As a performance engineer, it is very important to go and do the monitoring strategy similar to the test strategy. It is very important to go and prepare a monitoring strategy. Okay, how is your application architecture looks like? What does the individual components look like? Whether it's a Windows or Linux or Oracle or WebLogic server or a Tomcat server, JBoss server, is it a Java or Python? Depending upon all the tech stack and components, you need to go and understand the architecture, and then you need to go and understand what tools we are going to use it for these components, so that we are very clear that okay, for this component we'll use this tool, for this component we'll use this tool, right? That strategy is something very, very important. And from there we'll try to go and learn a couple of important monitoring tool stack. One of the tool stack is tick stack, telegraph, chronograph, inflexity. We will try to learn. We'll go and try to learn AppDynamics, as I mentioned yesterday in detail, installing the agent and then using AppDynamics to learn all these things, which are very common to any other APM tool, not only AppDynamics. This is going to be common for any other New Relic or Dynatrace as well. Okay, so that is what we are going to learn from a monitoring perspective. And then from there is where we will go on to the non-functional requirement and engineering strategy. We'll try to go and look into the how we go and derive the workloads, what are the various NFR sources, and then creating engineering plan or strategy. Let me open it as well. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll just take some water. So having learned all the topics, all the various things, right? Now we will be able to go and align those activities towards SDLC. What we will do it in requirement, what we'll do it in design phase, what we'll do it in development phase, testing phase. All the activities that we have learned in the engineering sessions would be towards development and test. Along with the developers during development phase, what we will do: code profiling, leak analysis, client side analysis, monitoring strategy, your low volume test. All these things are going to be part of your development phase, and more towards your load test, endurance test, EAP analysis, threat dump analysis, JVM benchmarking, JVM tuning, your capacity validation, GC analysis, database analysis. All these things are going to be part of your testing phase. While we do test, we do certain activities. While the application getting developed, we do certain activities. Now you should be able to easily relate what activities you will do it during what phase. So we will go on then and put up a engineering plan. We'll try to understand how the plan is going to look like, what is the approach, engineering approach, the environmental requirements, performance scenarios which will execute it, and during a sprint release, right? For agile project, how the performance testing and engineering is going to work during a sprint release. Within the sprint, what we are going to do. At the end of the sprint, what we are going to do. End of the release, what we are going to do. Right? That as well, we'll be looking into it from a engineering strategy perspective. And then we are going to move towards the introduction to DevOps, introduction to the cloud and resiliency. It is more towards for us to make sure that we are ready for the some of the modern technologies, or the one which is very much in a trend now, right? So from a DevOps perspective, we'll try to go and understand what is the continuous testing, what is continuous monitoring, how the real-time projects are implementing performance in DevOps. The 5 key elements of performance in DevOps, like integration, quality gates, feedback, selection of regression suits, pipeline jobs. All these five things are required for successful implementation of performance in DevOps, right? All these things we'll try to learn how this is implemented, how a pipeline is going to look like. We will go and use JMeter, Jenkins to go and create pipelines, to go and execute a few jobs, and then try to use some of the plugins available in Jenkins to have this integration. That is what we will try to learn from a DevOps perspective. Similarly, for cloud, we'll try to understand why cloud, how the performance is going to get impacted, how the performance is going to get improved from a cloud perspective, what are the benefits of the cloud, public versus private. Again, all these things in the context of performance, we will try to learn, or public versus private, how beneficial it is going to be for performance, why they move to public or private, and then multi-tenancy, And then scalability is a major factor from a cloud perspective. So what is the scalability? What is on-demand provisioning? What is auto scaling? And during auto scaling, what happens exactly? And what are the various additional scenarios we may have to bring in from a auto scaling perspective? And we'll also try to learn the basics about resiliency validation in cloud. Okay, and what are the various monitoring tool available in the cloud for Azure, AWS. So we'll try to understand from a native engineering versus cloud engineering, what is the difference, what is going to change, what is going to remain same, what are the various tools that is going to come into picture. We'll try to go understand from a basics perspective, so that whatever whenever you're going to work on this DevOps or cloud, nothing is going to be new for you. From that perspective, we'll try to get a basics of both DevOps and your cloud. Okay, so this is how we are going to learn. Again, all these things, most of the topics are something we are going to learn the way that we'll go deploy something and then test it, identify a problem, and provide the observation or recommendation. 70% are going to be more of a practical oriented, and 30% is required for us to understand the concepts, which means 30% is going to be still theoretical, but more important to learn for us to get the concepts and basics. Okay, so yeah, I pretty much went into detail about all these various topics that we are going to cover over the 3.5 weeks. I'll just take a pause. If you have any questions, yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah, if you have any questions, put it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask the questions. So from tomorrow, we'll get started with the first concept, first topic, Java basics, and then it will be the regular. This,
Hi, Satish, Anamika here.
yeah, I'm Anamika. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know whether we'll be having any practice sessions like daily. Will you be giving any assignments and we need to practice it? Is it going to be that way, or you'll be showing us things and then we'll do it on ourselves? How will it be?
So I will be providing you the code which is going to have a problem. So which means you can go back and practice it in your environment. Absolutely, that is what it is recommended. But it is not going to be mandatory, because what happened in previous time is few people do it, few people doesn't do it. So we cannot go and wait for the people to complete it, right? So for every topic, say response time analysis, right? I will go and complete my create session with all these things going and running it, create document about everything. I'll don't do it, and then I will upload you another file which will have a problem. Okay, or I'll upload both the files which I have done it in my session, and also the additional files which you can import it into your project, deploy the WAR file, or I will also provide a WAR file directly with a problem which you can deploy it in the Tomcat, and then you can go and profile it and create a document. Okay, so that is what it is recommended, but it is not going to be like compulsory thing that you need to go and do it. I'll provide you the these what to say kind of assignment, right? That is not going to be strictly followed. Okay, it is up to the people who are going to take that extra time and do it in the evening or in the weekends. So the files will be provided to you, the issues will be given to you over the code or a WAR file, and you, is that did I answer you, Anamika?
Yes, yes, Satish. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any other question, guys? Okay, there is. Will we be able to provide performance improvements to developers? Yes, of course. You will be able to provide the performance improvement to the developers. The whatever problem we are seeing, right? The response time is high. which class file is having high response time or which method is having high response time, from where it started, and where it from which class file the other class file is called. That complete analysis and the root cause of which methods are taking more time, that you will be able to provide as a recommendations to your developers. Similarly, for memory also, if there is a memory leak, we would be able to go and say which object is having a problem and which part of the method or which part of the class file is creating that problem. That level, you will be able to provide the recommendation or the improvement. But the only thing which you will not be able to do is, like as a developer itself, you cannot go and say, okay, these are the 2 lines of code. You change these 2 lines of code to the like this to certain way, so that you can improve the response time, so that you can go and remove the memory leak. The exact code level recommendation, that will take time for you to do it over the time, right? You probably, as you go experience with the performance engineering, as you go experience with the programming language itself, then you would be able to provide that exact code level recommendation. But from a performance engineering perspective, the expectation is, major expectation is to at least provide the profile, the application, provide which class file is taking more time, which method is taking more time. At that level, we should be able to provide the our observations and recommendation. But the code level changes, right? Go and change this 5 lines of code and put this code so that you can get that improvement. That will take time. That you need to go and get the experience, and then you will be able to do it. That is not very much expected in most of the places. Yes, it is good to have. That is not mandatory.
Hey, hi Satish, Yogesh here. So I just want to know, here we will learn that Gmeter test as well, like how to analyze and how to write the test there, and even how to analyze their report.
Can you repeat the
Hello?
question? How to write the test? Can you repeat the question, sir?
How we can write the test there and Gmeter, and how after that how to analyze their report as well.
So we are not going to look into uh, creating scripts or or rather analyzing the load testing report, right? So at least the load testing report, we can look into it from an engineering perspective, but definitely not the scripting aspects. So this is not a performance testing course. So which means we will not go and learn how to create scripts. We'll go and create sample script, yes, for sure. I'll have a sample script which I'll be in a JMeter to execute a certain test, but we will not go and create scripts and learn scripts. That is not going to happen in the engineering sessions. So if at all you wanted to learn how to do a scripting, we have a separate course.
Okay, so but it will include that how to analyze that report at least, right?
Yeah, that will include that we can include while we go and run some load test, and then go and correlate the data with AppDynamics or other tools for response time analysis. Yes, the we can take a simple load testing report and then look into the report, and then parallelly we can go to the AppDynamics to correlate the data. That will cover it.
Okay, one more thing I want to ask you. In this course, we will learn how to create a Grafana dashboard for any of the application or any of the services.
Fine, we will try to cover that as well. Note it down. Okay, that is not on the plan, but anyway, we have this tick stack as part of the open source tooling, right? We use InfluxDB, Telegraph, and Chronograph. We'll also include Grafana as part of it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys. So the sessions will the from tomorrow it is going to be we're going to start with the actual sessions, actual topics from the day one topics. So please feel free to ask any questions in the group or on the chat. If you have any questions around the um, course content or schedule or the fees, you can reach out to Kumar sir. People who have already registered, just ping me your email ID. I'll go and provide the access to the Google Drive so that you can start setting up your mission with basic softwares. So yeah, do let me ping me the email IDs and any questions related to the enrollment or fees, something you can reach out to Kumar sir. Okay, fine guys. If in case if you have more doubts or probably something you need to clarify before joining, we can also have a one-on-one call today, depending upon my availability and your availability. We can connect over the WhatsApp call, and then we can quickly clarify whatever doubts you have. Okay. Thank you guys. We'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the day one with the think like a developer session. We'll start with the Java basics. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.